Hi, on this tutorial, I'll show you things to consider when you are designing a sticker for a signboard. You get that? Yes. So first of all, what you need to do is to know the size of that particular sign, that particular signboard. You must know that, and you must also know that either it's front and back or it's just only front only. It's just one-sided or two-sided signboard. You get that? So after you get to know all this, the next thing that you have to do is to go over to the signboard and then measure the signboard to see the size of the signboard. And always, as a designer or as a person who is using Photoshop, you have to consider using inches. And some who are using Corel Draw, they have the opportunity to be using feet or inches. They have the opportunity. But for a Photoshop user, you have to consider using inches when you are measuring that particular signboard. You get that? Yes. I have been given a project to work on this thing, which is signboard, but it was 2 by 4 feet. So let's say that would be 24 inches by 48 inches. You get that? Yes. So the next thing what I did was I go over to the signboard and then I measure the signboard to know the width and then the height of that particular signboard before I can be able to design this particular distance. You get that? Yes. So first of all, as you know, before you start working on any particular signboard, either it's billboard or just a normal signboard, you have to measure it and then know the features of that particular signboard so that when you design that particular sticker, you can be able to stick it on it very perfectly without having issues. You get that? Yes. So first of all, after you measure your signboard and you want to start designing, the next thing you have to do is to download your resources files that you have to put in, or maybe if it needs files, you just have to gather all this information down and then start your design. However, I've already downloaded my resources files, even though that particular distance wasn't having a much information. You get that? Yes. So I won't have to do my things. So first of all, what I need to do over here is that I just have to open my Photoshop like this, and then I'm just going to set up my document. So I'll go to File, then I click on New. So when I click on New, what I have to consider is to put in the exact size that I measured from that particular signboard. You get that? Yes. So over here, I'll just make it my document name should be my father's house. My father's house farm project. Yes. So this was a normal signboard, a very small signboard, like a 2 by 4 feet signboard. You get that? Yes. So over here, if you have a RAM less than 8, or you have a RAM which is equivalent to 4 gigabyte, always make sure that you can be working with inches, like if you have a 4 gig RAM, for your PC not to disturb you by freezing and those kind of things, always consider using 2 by 4. And when you finish with the design, everything, you cannot change the 2 inches to 24 and then the height to 48. But for me, I am using 16 gigabyte RAM, so I have the opportunity, my PC will not freeze, so I'll just use 48 the inches, full inches, so that nothing will happen to my PC whilst I'm working on. You get that? Yes. And when I have 48 by 24, that is the 2 by 4 feet. You get that? Yes. And then over here, I can leave it at 300 without any problem, but for the tutorial sake, I am just going to make it 100. You get that? Yes. So that our work will work on faster. You get that? Yes. Then after that, I am done with all this. I'm going to use artboard over there so that I can have more control over my document. You get that? Yes. Then I'll click create over here. Yes. So now when I click create over here, this is what I'll have. So this is 2 by 4 feet signboard document size that I just created on Photoshop. So over here, I'm just going to call it let me call it left. You get that? That's the left side. The symbol was 2. It was left and right. You get that? And the size was the same thing. You get that? Yes. So when I have something like this, what I need to do right now is now working for the signboard. You get that? Yes. So first of all, there is my distance. I am just going to import in an image. No, first what I need to do is to set up my document. How do I set up the document? Is to know that anytime you get to know that anytime you design a signboard, there should be a space on top around the whole document, so that when the pasting is going to be done, you don't have to, when it needed to be cut or to trim, you don't need to trim into the write-up or the image of that particular distance sticker. You get that? So what I need to do is to pick up a rectangular tool, a shape tool over here. That's a rectangular tool. Then I'll just click on this. You get that? And I'm going to give 2 inches, just like this. 2 inches. I just need 2 inches over there, just like that. You get that? Yes. And then let me wait for the particular 2 inches to come up. So this is the 2 inches distance that I have just created, just like that. So I'll just move this one to the left side over here. Then I'll come out, I'll hold and drag my guideline to this place, and then I'll move it to the top, and then I'll do the same thing to this place. You get that? Then I'll move it down. Then I'll drag the same guideline to this place. Then I'll move it to the left side. Then I'll drag another guideline to that place. You get that? So it means that I have removed 2 inches away. I have removed what? 2 inches away, so that even when I need to trim, maybe the trimming will take 1 inch, leaving remaining 1 inch for the design to fit in that particular distance. You get that? Yes. And then the next thing again I'm going to do over there is that after when I have that, let me drag my distance a little bit so that you can be seeing what I'm doing perfectly. You get that? Yes. So I'll go over to my adjustment layer over there, and then I'll pick a solid color for the background. You get that? I just need a solid color for the background. You get that? So I'm going to use this army green or navy green, they normal call it. Yes. So this one will be okay for me. This particular design wasn't supposed to be very distant. It was just a simple one. So looking at their information, I don't need to put my things on it. You get that? Yes. So you just have to analyze the same document, what the person gives you to put in for the sample. You just have to take your time and analyze those things. You get that? Yes. Then the next thing again I'm going to do is to go to my file, then come to place a link so that I'll place something on the background. So let me pick up this particular pattern image that I downloaded from free pick. So I'll just I just want to import it in or place it on the document just like this. You get that? Yes. And then I'll try and drag it so that it will fill the whole document. It will fill it just like this. You get that? Yes. It will fill it like this, and then I'll drag this side too. I am just dragging it anyhow because I don't need any speciality on it. You get that? So I'm just dragging it anyhow how I want it. You get that? Yes. And then it's just transforming the placement document on that. And then if I have something like this, I think that one is okay for me. Though I'll change the blending mode to what? To multiply over there, just like that. And then I'll try and reduce the opacity very low so that it will just go down for me. You get that? Yes. So I'll just use something like 20. Okay, 20 will be okay for now, and then I have it just like that. You get that? Yes. So I can group this, and then I'll call it BG. The BG is the background, and that's okay for me. You get that? Yes. And this is so cool. The next thing again I'm going to do over there is that I'll go to file again, then I'll place another link, and then I'll import in an image the person sent me to put in. You know, sometimes some of the client will show you what they want and how they want it to be. You get that? Yes. So what I learned was that the client said he wants this image to be there, and the image should be at one side, maybe left or right, depending on how I'm going to apply my knowledge on that. You get that? So for himself, he was just saying, I'll just let it be one-sided, just like this. He's just something like this. it said something like this will be okay, you get that. But just do this, that is okay. But for a professional or someone who have an experience in that, you don't need to just put it just like that. You just have to put some creativity on it, or add some kind of creative this thing on it, so that it will look perfectly. So when I have something like this, I go over to my rectangular tool over here, then I hold my shift and then just drag a perfect square shape like this, you get that. Yes. And when that is done, I make sure that I change the fill to white, and then that looks so good for me. And then I try and drag the edges so that it will look rounded, just like this, you get that. It wasn't that too much, and this is okay. So I click it just like that, so that it will select that particular distance. And then what I need was that this particular, oh sorry about that. Yes, it is dragging. So you see what I was saying, depending on the kind of distance that you are working on, you just have to consider some certain things when you are working. If you are working with a high document, you make sure that your resolution is down, you get that. Yes. So this was okay for me. So over this place, that's the angle of the distance that you can rotate it. So I rotate it 45 vertical scale, and that was okay for me, you get that. This was okay. So I make sure that I drag it a little bit. I drag it, yes, so that it will fill up this particular shape over there, just like this, you get that. Yes. And then I make sure that I move it to the right side, just like this, you get that. Yes. And then I zoom out, and then I drag it a little bit, so that it will fill up the parts that I want it to be filled, you get that, so that I can have something like this over there. So the next thing again I do was to move this to the top, and then I right click on the image layer, and then create a clipping mask on this, so that it will go into the shape over there, you get that. Yes. And then I try then move this a little bit. I try and move it a little bit, so that it will fill up this particular this thing. It will fill it up, you get that. Yes. So even though how I even do my measurement and how my document was set, nothing can even trim off, you get that. Everything was measured perfectly, and I don't think nothing can even trim off when pasting this, you get that. So when I have something like this, and this was okay for me, so I try and move it a little bit down, so that even when something is going to trim off, it won't trim off the faces and all that. So with this was okay for me. So I have to duplicate the the layer, and then I move it out, so that I'll see some kind of the same shape coming up, you get that. So with this was okay for me. Then I drag it a little bit out, just like that, you get that. Yes. And then I try, and then all this was okay for me, so I group it together. Then over there I call it image. Always make sure that when you are working, your layer should be somehow be perfectly arranged, and it will be good, you get that. Yes. So this was okay for me. And then the next thing again I did over there was to go over and pick the write up the person sent. So I pick up the over here, I copied this, and then I place it over there. Yes. Sometimes when you look at your font that you are going to use, try and use a simple font, and simple font makes your design beautiful and nice, you get that. Yes. It makes your everything beautiful, you get that. Yes. So over there I used that. Then I was able to use a font called let me see, was it Kenyan Coffee? Okay, this. And then I try and use a white, and throughout the design you may see that I may use limited font, and then a limited color that is not bigger, just a simple ones that I use on this particular signpost. You get that? Yes. And this was okay for me. And then let me copy the farm project over there, and then that one too, I'll just paste it on this, just like that. And that was also cool for me. You get that? Yes. And then let me transform it a little bit over here, and this looks okay. You see, when you look at this thing, you see this line on top, the line that cuts, it is nothing. Because I'm using artboard, I normally face this kind of challenges. You get that? Yes. And that's okay. And let me make it somewhere 300. So my father's house, the house H wasn't there, so let me add the H over there. Okay, and that's cool. And then this, because this J doesn't look somehow J, it looks somehow different, I'm going to use a font called Aurora Condense bold type, and that is okay. You get that? Yes. So once we are working, you are experiencing all this kind of things, then don't worry, it's just a way of your graphics. You get that? Your graphic is making it just like that. When you are saving, it will be part of your this thing. You get that? Yes. So the next thing again I did was to copy the contact. So the contact, I just place it over here, just like that. Then I pasted it. Okay. Yes. And then over there, I changed the font to the card. You get that? Yes. And this looks so cool for me. So I try and move this somewhere here. You get that? So the next thing I did was to give an icon to this, so that I will have some kind of this thing over there. You get that? Yes. So I make sure that I pick my rectangular tool over there, then I just draw something like this. It wasn't that bigger, but just a very small one, just like this. You get that? Yes. And then I make sure that I curve the edges, so that it will look nice for me. You get that? And then over there, I change the color to white, just like that. Let me make it 100, so that it will curve very well for depending on how I wanted it to be. And that was so cool. And then I go to my file, and then I import in the icon. That's the image, the phone call icon, just like that. Then I place it on, then I try and transform it a bit, so that it will go into the shape. You get that? Yes. So I'm just transforming it, so that I can have a best of that. Yes. You know, sometimes when you are designing, try and make sure that your design is neat and clean. You don't have to add up more things to just spoil certain things. You get that? Yes. Always make sure that even when you are using one font, then try and use the font with different types, like semi-bold, bold, italics, and those things. You get that? Yes. So that your design will look beautiful. You get that? But when you use one font, always one font, it feels different. You get that? It feels different. Everyone will knows that this design is for this. You get that? So always make sure that you use limited fonts, like 3, 2. That's cool. You get that? Yes. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to give it a color. I'm just going to give it a solid red color over there, just like that. So I'll have that, then I'll have this. You get that? Yes. I just want a red color over there, and that's okay. It fills the whole thing, but I'm going to right click on that particular red solid color, and then I'll create a clipping mask on only for the this. You get that? Yes. And that is okay for me. You get that? Yes. And then I'm done. So with this, I can have something like this over there, and that's so cool for me. So I'll have this and this and this together. Then I'll group it, and this one I'll call it call. So because it's phone number, I'm just going to name the group called, and that's okay for me. Yes. And after, when I have something like this, I can now have something like this over there. So then the next thing again I'm going to do is to push up this a little bit. You get that? To push it a little bit over there, and this and that, I'll try and move it here. Yes, I'll try and move it down. I'll try and move it down just like that, and this will be okay for me. Yes. So the image, I'll try and move it a little bit out. Yes, a little bit out, just like that. And then I'll reduce the image. I'll reduce the size of the contact. This was 300, so let's say make it 250, just like this, so that it won't take over the whole thing. You get that? Yes. And then I'll try and give a space in between those things, and then I'll look for a shape like a arrow shape. Some of the clients or the customers that we see normal want this kind of shapes to be there with their design. So I just have to do that. I just have to add it to this thing, just like this. You get that? Yes. Because the reason why they want it is that they really want the signboard to show where they are and what they do. It shows them the direction where they are. You get that? So always make sure that you also put it there. And I just want to have a somehow a very long one. Yes, just like that, so that it can show anyone who is coming to this thing. The person can know where exactly it is, and the person can easily go there. You get that? Yes. So that's cool. Yes, I'm just going to give it a solid color of the existing, and that's so cool. You get that? Yes. So with this, it's okay. And no, looking at it, you can say it has some kind of white spaces. Yes, because their information was limited, and I make sure that I give the design a time or a distance to breathe. Yes, I didn't just put up things so that the design will not be able to breathe. You get that? Yes. So I make sure that I give it I give a briefing space on the design so that it can breathe very, very well. And always make sure that anything you are working should be inside that particular guideline that you have given, so that even when you are going to paste, nothing will be cut off from your design. You get that? Yes. And that's so cool. And as a graphic designer, if either you are working with somebody or you are working alone, don't ever let someone measure a size for you. Always take a tape measure, go to the site, measure everything. I have received this kind of particular thing, and someone measured a size for me. The person was calling the size for me, and at the end of the day, I become the victim. I become a bad person, and everything. Sometimes we just complain, but always make sure that you measure your size, know your size. Don't let anyone measure a size for you. At the end of the day, you will be blamed or either being unprofessional or something. Always measure your size. Some are not good, so always measure your size. Thank you very much for watching. This is ABN Graphics, and have a nice day. Bye bye.